Hi everyone, it's Daniel again. Today we're going to be working on this Teryx, this Kawasaki Teryx that I have here. One thing I've noticed is that we've had issues with where I go riding with small branches and small trees getting pushed in through here, and I've already had some damage on my radiator. So what I want to do today is probably add some more plating in here and some expanded metal to prevent anything from going in here. So I'll show you all that all that I have to do, so you can see that, and you see we've got a new little pup following us around today. But I'm going to probably put a metal plate in here to protect this, protect the wires, because I did have the cable for the winch get pushed out, and then fill in any of these spots, and maybe even put another strong arm across here to keep it kind of, to keep any of this stuff out. So anyway, with that, let's start tearing this thing apart. There are 4 bolts that hold this whole push bar on. There are 2 down here. Sorry, there's 1 here, and then there's 1 up here and 1 on the other side as well. I believe this is a factory push bar, or brush guard, whatever you want to call it. Need to take the skid plate off. There we go. I think at this point, I'm just going to prep all the surfaces, get all the paint cleared off from here. Try to do all the paint underneath there, and through here if I can, get all the paint underneath all these points, and clean it up and prep it for any welding I'm going to be doing here in the next short little bit. So my initial thought was to use my Harbor Freight pipe bender, but after a couple sample runs, it just put too many kinks in it for this thin wall. So here I tried to just cut some notches in it and notch it and then bend it, but the look just didn't match up to what was on there. I needed a real pipe bender to make this happen. So after further inspection and keep looking at it, messing with it, I decided to ditch the whole idea and move on. So anyway, I'm moving on to this. I tried the hardest part first, which is that tube. Got stuck on it, so I'm going to start working on this. I think it'll be easier to work on. Famous last words. So I took some of the conduit I was initially going to use for part of the bumper. I used it as my mandrel to bend over it so I could give it more of a rounded look to match the profile of the front of the bumper. And it worked out well. I was able to just keep moving it, manipulating it, so it worked out easy enough to make a good contour to match what was already on the bumper. So as you can see, I actually give it a little bit of a rounded look here. I don't know if you can see it real well. It gives it a kind of matches the contours. So matches the contours of it. So here you can see I'm welding this up. I'm using a Lincoln Electric 125. It's set up with a flux core. A little bit more messy than gas. I just haven't upgraded to gas yet, but it's something I do plan to do in the not too distant future. The expanded metal did turn out kind of what I wanted on this. So today I'm gonna work on finishing out these 2 little eyes. It looks like eyes here. I'm gonna finish those 2 out, and we'll take from the bottom here, if you can see it, I'm gonna take a little gusset that runs on the bottom here that'll protect the electronics, not the electronics, but the power cable that runs into the winch, and then the other side is where the handle will be. And then I'll have a flat plate on the front, down here on this section through here, and we'll put a flat plate, and then only have an opening for the front of the winch there where the cable comes out. So changing up my viewing angle, because I did realize from the videos yesterday that I was blocking the view a lot, so I'm gonna change it up so you can see what I'm doing. Should give me the template that I'm looking for on the inside. So I'm gonna cut it out a little larger and try to fit it on the top side. Should be able to flip it over and it'll fit the other side, so I can use one for both. So here I'm just cutting out the template with my pocket knife. I just trimmed it up. I got a fairly sharp knife, so I was able to trim it up pretty easy. Next, I'm just going to lay it on the brush card, see how it fits. If I had got a good template, I do, so I'm moving on. And I'm putting it on the expanded metal, keeping in mind how the expanded metal will look on the bumper so that it looks well, and how it's going to contrast between the two. So anytime I'm handling this stuff, I've made it a point after I got a really bad cut to make sure I got gloves on, because this is some pretty sharp stuff. So as I say that, grabbing a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to form it to it. Yeah, form it to it, and then up too high, so I have to. It's a weird compound turn because you got a bend in the tube up here, and then there's a bend down here, so it's a diagonal roll across this way. So. This is where I had the epiphany to use a box end wrench to torque down on the edge of the expanded metal, and it fit right in there. I think it was like a 3/4 inch, half inch, something like that. And it gave me enough leverage just to pull down on the edges to tack them in and keep that contour, so that worked out perfect. So now I'm gonna finish that side, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. So I need to make sure I keep just for aesthetics, keep the pattern going in the same way. Otherwise, you're going to see a crosshatch. So if you're doing the same thing, make sure if you're trying to do a certain path or a certain pattern on it, because it is expanded this way on the metal when they cut it, that you can't do it the same way. Otherwise, it'll be elongated the other way. It'll look weird. It'll still function the same, but just look weird. So anyway, probably before I get started on the next one, I'm gonna keep my mask on. I got a fairly small shop here, and it's full of smoke right now, so I'm gonna keep my mask on. But anyway, that is where I'm at with that. So after cutting it out, I placed it back on the brush guard, and I saw that there was a little bit more paint that I need to clear off. So I just used one of these angle grinders with a flap wheel on there. I typically have, I've got 2 or 3 of these angle grinders that have just dedicated wheels on them. They're cheap, they're from Harbor Freight, and they're light, which makes it nice. So I can use it with one hand. Even though I followed the template, I made it a little bit oversized, so I can come back through here and just put it exactly where I wanted to touch on the tubing of the brush guard. Same as the other side, I'm taking that conduit, using it as a mandrel to match the contours, and do a little cutting to get it to fit in exact, but just trying to do what I did on the other side. So all I'm going to do is just going to tack it in, and then we'll go back later and cut off the excess that's on the bottom. What I plan to do next is I'm going to put in a gusset through here that'll extend from right about here down to here somewhere. And I'll make the same thing on the other side, and that should protect any the connection points on the winch. I'm going to skip all the welding because I decided against it later on. So I'll show you what I've got. This is what I'm working with here. I put it back on the side by side. I'll let you see what I'm looking at. So put it back on here. After seeing it on the side by side, I wasn't a real big fan of it, so I'm cutting it right back out and grinding the welds down, and we're going to pretend like this never happened and I didn't waste 2 hours on this. So once I was able to get it mounted back onto the side by side, I like the look a lot better. It's a little cleaner look for me. I just preferred it a lot better, so I ended up staying with that. Here I'm just marking the expanded metal to match the opening of the fair lead for the winch cable. You can see where I cut it out here. So I just basically drew out that. This is what I want to have cut out. I'll cut out that notch, and then I'll get back to grinding. If you're wondering what I'm doing, because it's flux core, it puts little BBs all over the place. So I gotta get those little BBs off, because if I paint it, the BB might just get knocked off. It's where a little speck of the metal balls up and sticks to something. But if it pops off, there won't be paint underneath, and you get little rust spots underneath. So I'm trying to get rid of most of them if I can. I'll fill them with my hand, and then I'll try to knock them off. I won't be able to prevent it forever, but a couple, maybe about a year or so, I'll have to go back and repaint. So I'll let you see what I'm doing next. Next thing I'm doing, a little primer on it. Got some, this is the primer I've got hanging around, which is gray. I like that, so I can see if I miss stuff. I also have some black paint, but I'm probably not going to use it. And then I use truck bed liner. It works pretty good. And it kind of mimics what's already on the what do you call it, the bumper, as you can see here. It's kind of already got a little bit of a texture to it. If I can get you there, see a little bit of a texture to it. So all I'll do is I'll hit it with a primer, and then I will spray paint it with a truck bed liner. And I've got a little spot heater in here, so that should keep it warm for could keep it warm enough to let the paint cure. So that'll be the next step that I do in this process. All right, so I'm back in the garage, and I got the bumper. It's all cured. I had it overnight in the shed with a bullet heater, so it kept it around 60 degrees. It got down in the 30s last night, so that allowed it to cure overnight. And then all I have to do is put 4 bolts in it, and it's done. So we'll let you guys watch me do that. So all you're gonna do is reinstall it the same way you took it out. I left the two 10mm guys installed here. And that is the finished product. Installed, painted, cured. You can see it ties in on the back here, like I said. There's one 14mm bolt here. There's another one right underneath that point right there. And then it's the same thing on the other side. But it has the, already got a scuff on it because I hauled it back over in the back. But it has the truck bed liner from Rustoleum, I believe. So it's and it gives it a grit. And it has a little bit of a texture to it from the factory anyway, so it kind of matches the factory one. Opening for the winch on the front. And only thing I would have probably done differently is, as you can see here, I did match them up as I went across through here to kind of make it look like a continuous piece. Looking back, I would have made this all in one piece. One solid piece through there would have probably been the smarter thing to do. But I initially was thinking I'd put a metal plate in here, but this turned out well. So I just continued with that expanded metal through there. And I did want these at a different design to kind of make it look different as a, kind of has an eye look here on the other side. So I matched that as well. So, for aesthetics only, it has no other real purpose. But that's the finished bumper. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it, as always. I enjoyed the project in and of itself. And I have got a couple more projects up my sleeves that I'm going to be doing in the near future. The next one I'm going to be tackling on with this Kawasaki is going to be the lighting. I've noticed in the woods when I was backing up, other than the rear red lights, red tail lights or brake lights as it were, you can't see anything. So I've got new spotlights or floodlights for the rear that have come in. I do plan on installing rock lights to give me lighting on the side of the vehicle, and then interior lights, so they don't have any lights on the interior. So anyway, the next couple of videos will be dedicated to that. If you enjoyed this and this content, feel free to give me a subscribe and a like, and you'll get more videos like this. All right, thank you. Have a good one.